President Trump and other Republicans, including Senator Tom Cotton, have, without offering evidence at this point, accused Smith of violating federal law.
Donald Trump, the president of these United States, wants to be a dictator. He is trying to be a dictator. He said it multiple times this week.
So the line is that I'm a dictator when I stop crime. So a lot of people say, you know, if that's the case, I'd rather have a dictator. But I'm not a dictator. I just know how to stop crime.
What if the very person charged with defending justice is suddenly accused of corrupting it? Imagine this. A prosecutor who brought down powerful criminals, now facing allegations that he himself is breaking the law. Tonight, we open a story where the courtroom is no longer just about guilt or innocence. It's about survival. This is not just about Donald Trump. This is about whether the American justice system can withstand a storm unlike any it has ever faced. The spotlight falls on Jack Smith, the special counsel with a reputation for sharp focus, methodical prosecution, and a career defined by following the evidence wherever it leads. To his supporters, he is a relentless seeker of justice. To his critics, he is the face of a witch hunt against the former president. But here's the twist: Smith is not just the one pointing fingers. Now, he is the one being accused. The allegation that Jack Smith used his position to interfere in a presidential election. Trump's allies claim Smith deliberately sped up indictments and court proceedings to sabotage Trump's political comeback. And they argue that this was not just aggressive prosecution. It was a violation of the Hatch Act, a law designed to keep government officials from mixing politics with their public duties. It sounds serious, but dig deeper, and the picture grows far more complicated and far more ironic. The Hatch Act has been around since 1939. Its purpose is straightforward. If you're a federal employee, you can't use your government role to campaign for or against a political candidate. It's about protecting democracy from being hijacked by partisan insiders. At worst, the punishment for violating it is usually a fine or administrative penalty. It's rarely seen as career-ending. It's certainly not considered criminal. And yet, here it is, at the center of one of the most politically charged battles in modern American history. The irony becomes clearer when you remember Trump's own record. His White House had dozens of Hatch Act violations. Senior figures like Kellyanne Conway repeatedly used their government positions to promote Trump's re-election. His son-in-law Jared Kushner was found in violation. Over 30 members of his administration were cited for doing campaign work on the taxpayers' dime. The response from Trump's team? Shrugs, dismissals, denials. The Hatch Act, they said back then, was unimportant, little more than a bureaucratic nuisance. But now, that very same law has been resurrected as the weapon of choice to discredit the prosecutor who dared bring cases against Trump. The charge against Smith stems from a complaint filed by Senator Tom Cotton, one of Trump's most loyal defenders. Cotton claimed that Smith's rush to bring Trump to trial ahead of the election wasn't just unusual, it was illegal. He called it a Hatch Act violation, something so grave that the Office of Special Counsel should investigate. To understand the weight of that claim, you have to know the office Cotton turned to. Despite its name, the Office of Special Counsel isn't the same as the special counsels appointed by the Attorney General, like Robert Mueller or Ken Starr. Instead, it's a federal watchdog agency that looks into complaints of misconduct by government employees, especially whistleblower reports. Traditionally, the office was meant to be independent, but under Trump, it became something else. Career officials who resisted were fired or forced out. Allies and loyalists moved in. At one point, Froome even tried to install a nominee tied to extremist voices in right-wing media, so unqualified he couldn't win Senate confirmation. And now, this office, reshaped by Trump's influence, is the one reviewing Cotton's claims against Jack Smith. Smith's defense, however, is equally forceful. His team argues that the urgency behind Trump's trials was not about electioneering, was about accountability. Think about it. If Trump returned to the White House before facing trial, he could wield presidential power to delay, derail, or even shut down the prosecutions entirely. Justice, once again, would be pushed out of reach. In Smith's view, speeding up wasn't political. It was practical. It was about ensuring the American people knew the truth before stepping into the voting booth. It was about making sure a man already convicted of 34 felony counts couldn't hide behind the shield of political office to escape the law. And yet, the accusation against Smith stuck. Suddenly, his work was framed not as law enforcement, but as partisanship. A prosecutor sworn to uphold justice was now painted as a political actor. This is where the real danger lies. Because if every prosecution of a powerful figure can be spun as election interference, then what happens to justice itself? Can any prosecutor hold a politician accountable without being accused of bias? Can the law ever rise above the political calendar? Jack Smith's situation reveals the fragility of that balance. He is a man caught in the crossfire, not only prosecuting one of the most polarizing figures in American history, but now defending his own integrity in the process. And this is not just about Smith. It's about precedent. If the Hatch Act can be twisted into a weapon against prosecutors, then every investigation into the powerful risks being silenced. The timing of elections could become a shield for criminal acts, protecting politicians at the very moment they should be held accountable. One thing is clear: this is no ordinary legal battle. It's not just Trump on trial, and it's not just Jack Smith defending himself. It's the very idea of justice in America that hangs in the balance. And the question looms large: will the courts uphold the principle that no one is above the law? Will politics consume the very system meant to protect it? The next chapter will push us deeper into that question. But for now, one thing is certain: the battle lines have been drawn, and the fight is only beginning. What if the law itself could be silenced by the timing of an election? What if every time a powerful politician faced charges, they could simply cry political interference and walk free? That chilling possibility is exactly what's at stake in the battle between Jack Smith and Donald Trump. Jack Smith is not just fighting accusations of bias. He's fighting for the very idea that the law should stand apart from politics. His critics, led by Senator Tom Cotton and backed by Trump loyalists, claim his prosecutions were an elaborate scheme to tilt the political playing field. Their evidence? A timeline. They argue that Smith's push to bring Trump to trial before the election was proof of political intent. But here's the flaw: every prosecutor works against a clock. Justice delayed is justice denied. And in Trump's case, the clock isn't just ticking, it's racing. Because if Trump regains the presidency, he'll have extraordinary powers that could derail every prosecution against him. Smith and his team argued that the rush wasn't about politics. It was about reality. Trials take time. Investigations take time. Appeals take time. Without urgency, the public might never know the truth until it's far too late. To really understand how dangerous this moment is, let's step back and examine the Office of Special Counsel, the agency now probing Smith under Cotton's complaint. Despite its name, it's not a special counsel in the sense of Robert Mueller or Ken Starr. This office doesn't lead independent criminal investigations. Instead, it handles whistleblower cases, federal workplace misconduct, and yes, Hatch Act violations. Think of it as a watchdog for government employees. For decades, it served as a relatively quiet check on power. But under Donald Trump, even this office became politicized. Competent, independent leaders were fired or pushed aside. In their place came loyalists. At one point, Trump tried to appoint a nominee with ties to extremist right-wing groups and conspiracy circles so unqualified that even his own party struggled to defend him. That history matters, because it means the office Cotton turned to may no longer be the impartial guardian it was meant to be. Instead of defending whistleblowers, it now risks being used as a weapon to attack one of the most important prosecutors in American history. The heart of Cotton's complaint is the Hatch Act. Remember, this law prevents federal employees from engaging in political campaigning on taxpayer time. But Jack Smith wasn't giving speeches. He wasn't handing out campaign flyers. He wasn't even making political endorsements. He was prosecuting crimes. And here's the suspenseful truth: no prosecutor in modern American history has ever been accused of violating the Hatch Act for bringing a case against a politician. It's unheard of. If this argument sticks, it creates a dangerous precedent. Imagine this scenario. A president, governor, or senator commits crimes. Prosecutors open a case. But because an election is coming up, the accused cries foul, claiming the prosecution itself is political interference. Suddenly, every trial freezes. Every case stalls. Justice bends to the calendar. This is not just a loophole. It's a potential escape hatch for the powerful, a way to dodge accountability by hiding behind election dates. Smith's lawyers put it plainly in their filings. Justice cannot be paused for politics. They argue that allowing election calendars to dictate prosecutions would gut the rule of law itself. The law would no longer be blind, would be hostage to campaigns, debates, and polling numbers. In their response, Smith's team stressed that every decision he made was rooted in evidence, not politics. They pointed to the principles of federal prosecution, the Department of Justice's own guidebook for handling cases. Smith, they said, followed those rules to the letter. The timing wasn't political, it was procedural. It was the normal operation of a justice system facing extraordinary circumstances. But Cotton and Trump's allies see it differently. To them, the speed of Smith's actions is the smoking gun. They argue that rushing a trial shows bias, regardless of the reasons. It's a circular argumentand, one designed to muddy the waters. What makes this battle even more ironic is Trump's own record with the Hatch Act. His administration racked up more violations of it than any in history. Kellyanne Conway openly mocked it, telling reporters she wouldn't stop campaigning for Trump while on the job. Jared Kushner was cited for violations. In total, over 30 officials ignored the law. Back then, Trump's team laughed off the Hatch Act as meaningless. Now, they wield it like a sword. The hypocrisy is staggering, but in politics, irony often becomes strategy. The stakes could not be higher. If Jack Smith is discredited, he won't just weaken his cases against Trump, could rewrite the unwritten rules of American justice. Prosecutors may become hesitant to pursue charges against politicians, fearing accusations of partisanship. The powerful would gain a shield, not from innocence, but from timing. Think of the chilling effect. A prosecutor holding back evidence of corruption because an election is near. A criminal trial postponed indefinitely because of campaign season. Accountability delayed until it's meaningless. This is why Smith's defense matters. He's not just protecting his reputation. He's protecting the principle that justice must be blind, that the law must apply equally, regardless of who is running for office. As the battle rages on, the question grows louder. Can the justice system withstand this political storm? Or will the precedent set here allow future leaders to escape accountability by crying political interference whenever they're caught? In the end, Jack Smith's fight is not just against Donald Trump. It's against the erosion of the rule of law itself. His challenge is to prove that justice still has teeth, that it can hold the powerful accountable, even when they fight back with every weapon at their disposal. Because if justice falls here, it may not rise again so easily. So we are left with a haunting question. Will Jack Smith's pursuit of accountability prove that no one is above the law? Or will this clash mark the moment when politics finally conquered justice? The answer has yet to be written, but one thing is certain: the entire world is watching.